So one of the excitement in neuroscience is that we're now moving from neuroscience to neurotechnology. In other words, we're beginning to understand some of the principles, although far, far, far from a complete knowledge, so much that we can begin to interfere with the brain. And one of the excitements is building so-called BMI, brain-machine interfaces. In other words, for example, a typical case would be you take somebody who's paralyzed, who has a normal, healthy brain, but let's say he was in a motorcycle accident and is totally paralyzed. So he can have normal thoughts about moving, but he can't move. So now we implant, so this would be a neurosurgical operation where you have to go inside the skull, you implant a little chip. So ultimately you can imagine this paralyzed person will think, something, let's say I'm moving to the left, and the computer reads it off and moves his wheelchair to the left or to the right. So that's just a very first application that we are beginning to see now in the labs, and we'll probably see it out there applied to patients within the next few years. But you can also think more high-level cognitive, not just low-level sort of motor function, but also a more high-level function. You can control computers. Maybe, wouldn't it be fantastic if, for example, you can directly, every time you have a query, you just do this, you access Wikipedia, and you immediately get the answers, displayed into your retina. That would be awesome. I would immediately volunteer for that.
In some ways, we're doing that today. The fact that I can take this out of my pocket and access all of human knowledge is an extension of my brain. Even if this isn't quite inside my brain yet, it's still pretty close and it's controlled by my brain, and it is a brain extender. And it's a convenient place to put this, because I might lose it, is in fact to put it in my brain. Once it's the size of a blood cell, I can easily do that.
If there are people who are suffering from, who have deficits, who have much deeper limitations than the kind of average of human beings, then we've always understood that it makes sense to try to use medical technology and other things to bring them up to that level, okay? So if someone gets their legs blown off, it makes perfect sense to give them legs back, That doesn't mean that it then makes sense to give everybody legs that run twice as fast as human legs ever did. A, we don't need to. B, it devalues at some level the joy and pleasure of running. It turns you into a machine. And C, it starts you down this slippery slope.
If I could have a neural implant that allows me to jump 50 feet on robotic legs, that could be really cool. But if I lose the ability to sense what it's like to walk on grass and bare feet, that might not be a trade-off I want to make. If changing my brain in some way that allows me to, access all the facts on the internet, but I lose some other ability to empathize with others because of that change, I'm not sure I'd want that trade-off.
Perhaps something like the singularity could occur, where the issue is, what does it mean to be human? Are machines smarter than us? Are machines working for us? Are they operating on their own? But there's also the additional question of what is the difference between a human and a machine when we start doing genetic engineering on the one hand and augmentation on the other.